Good Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. That would be Basic Guitar Strategies. Although most of the stuff I do is not really basic. It's just a name. And then some of it is basic, but some of it really isn't. Most of it's not very basic, but anyway. So, what I was thinking about going over today is, I'll stand by, is just that. Okay, so the order of the modes, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, but people can get really confused, and you can get really not understanding the order, because the order does matter. The way you play them does matter. So right, you're gonna have Ionian. So Ionian. You have Dorian. And you have Phrygian. And you have Lydian. You have MIXOLYDIAN. You have aeolian. And you're gonna have locrian. Then you'll be back to the major scale, IONIAN. So the key here is that you need to play them. Okay, it doesn't matter. Like if you start on F sharp, that's fine. But you need to stay. Your intervals need to stay the same distance, right? Because if they don't, then that's when you're gonna have a problem, right? So that's why when you play from G to G, you can see pretty much how the notes are laid out, right? A little more diagonal-ish than straight up and down. Like the major minor boxes are going to be more straight up and straight down, as to where the modes are a little more linear, kind of moving it like, you can see right here just by the way I'm moving. It's, it's going down, right, at an angle, diagonalish. So you need to make sure that you understand the order of the modes. That's really important, okay? That's number one. Number two is you need to understand the major scale, because that's how all music is made, all right? It's all based around that, okay? Major, so it's whole step, half step, whole step, half step, all right? So like if you're gonna take that in G, right? We're gonna do it in G. One note, just on the G. So whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Then we're back to our G, right? Okay, so if you play that, you're gonna have the same notes. If you go same exact thing, okay? It's just you're playing the major scale, Ionian, from G to G, right? That's just so you have the visual, right, that you can see. That way it's a little bit easier. So, and then obviously you're going to have the next one is going to be Dorian. Now, once again, this is going to be quick. So you have 3 that are major, 3 that are minor, and 1 that is half diminished, okay? So it goes, the chord progression, major chord progression, is major, minor, major, minor, half diminished, okay? So what that relates to is when you're playing, when there's a song, that's how songs are written, okay? That they follow, it doesn't mean they have to be in that order, of major, minor, major, minor, half diminished. That's not, because a lot of times it's different. They mix it all up. That's why you end up with songs that have keys that are minor keys, and then you have songs that are major keys. Major keys are are happy, right? Minor key songs are going to be a little bit sadder, right? You're going to feel sad, kind of sad day, kind of rainy day. and then you're gonna have your basically major songs are gonna be happy, and you know, like Jump from Van Halen and stuff like that. So with that being said, the key is, and this is where, like, well, this is why it's hard to be a lead guitar player, right? Well, like, maybe if you're playing to something like, let's say, who's a good band? Soundgarden. All right, back then they're good, right? Their shit's easy to play over. Like, you can play their stuff. Like, it's not that hard. But if you throw in like old Queensryche or maybe even some Dorian or any of those bands, White Lion, even Poison not so much, but you know, while they're playing the chord progression, you can't. It's hard if you're playing in a major. If you're playing in a major mode while there is a minor chord underneath it, it's not going to sound quite right. Okay, so that's the challenge that a lot of guitar players who played lead guitar have to face, right? Because if you sound terrible, you know, you're not going to sound terrible, but there's going to be notes that don't sound quite right. So that's what makes being a lead guitar player hard. That's really what rounds it out. And then also, you know, understanding and knowing, like, little things that really help are, like, you know, here's your one note, right? So it's also right here. It's also right here. Okay, so knowing that that basically your one note or your G is right there, it helps you out to be able to figure out where all the G's are down the neck. That way you're not, even though everything's played in a certain, there's all the modes. It's good to understand, that in a mode, it's like your G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, right? So you just went from G to G, right? That's all I did, was I went from G to G, okay? The only thing different in the key of G major, E minor is you have an F sharp, right? That's it, F sharp. So after that, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And then A, B, C. Okay, so I just went through how the notes are figured out, right? So, and you could see clearly in there where my half steps are, right? Where the B and C, there's a half step. And E to F sharp to G, that's where they put the half step, even though basically, in the major scale, you have a half step basically between E and F and B and C. A half a step, this is a half a step. A full step is half step. Full step. Half step. I'm just like, how's that guy playing that so fast? Or, how does he know that and this? And it's all because I've been playing for so long, right? And because I spent time and I studied a lot, right? And, and it took a long time, right? Really, to understand it for me. So anyway, you guys have a good night, and thanks to all the new subscribers. I totally appreciate it. I might put out some short tonight or something. I don't really know. I don't think so, but maybe. But anyway, thanks again. I do appreciate it. Have a good night.